Hello and welcome. This will be the group Mohima's final video for the 2110 Big Project. This video will be just like the previous video because the criteria are basically identical. Depicted in the figure is a sorted morphological chart. The morphological chart has been sorted so that each column contains a different set of mechanisms for each different design. So the first column contains the mechanisms used in the first design, the second column the mechanisms used in the second design, etc., etc. So as you can see, each design features different mechanisms than the others, and for some designs we actually choose to ignore some of the objectives as shown here. The first design features two telescoping arms that extend out to remove the dog toys. They bring with them two wooden sheets that, once extended, drop behind the ping pong balls and are then retracted to bring the ping pong balls in. A PVC pipe attached to a motor is used to swing out and reach the Death Star. A second motor then rotates whenever a touch sensor is touched against the edge of the rotating Death Star, and that turns a dividing ring that allows a single ping pong ball to go into one of the zones. This repeats until the touch sensor has triggered a total of 6 times, deploying 6 ping pong balls and hopefully getting at least one into each zone. As for the golf ball, a mousetrap triggered device is held back by a solenoid, and once the solenoid is powered on, the hinge will flip backwards due to the mousetrap and raise the golf ball. The second design features two double hinge arms with mousetrap flippers on the end. These are pushed out by two pneumatic actuators, and once they fully extend, the mousetrap flipper deploys due to contact with the ground and flips the dog toys up and into the other people's zone. For this design, we have chosen to ignore the entire ping pong ball fleet and hope that other teams' mechanisms inadvertently push them into our zone. In order to launch balls into the Death Star, we have a tube ramp with an IR sensor connected to a hopper type system with a divider that is powered by a motor. There is a pneumatic launcher here that fires a ping pong ball once the IR sensor detects a change in zones from the Death Star, and after it fires, the motor feeds in another ping pong ball. As for the golf ball, a simple screw lift powered by a motor is used. The third design features two ramps with two battering ram carts that are held back by solenoids to remove the dog toys. The solenoids are powered on, they get out of the way, and the battering ram carts run into the dog toys and push them out of our zone. Two pneumatic actuators are used to drop two hinges that are connected to a rod with 4 suction cups on each one, and these suction cups are slightly behind the ping pong balls so that they grab the ping pong balls and then immediately pull them slightly into our zone, just enough for them to count toward our points. As for hitting the Death Star, we have a spring-loaded gun attached to a motor hopper system. There's also an IR sensor that senses when the dome changes quadrants. Once it does, the spring gun fires a ping pong ball. Then the motor retracts the spring as well as provides a ping pong ball to the spring gun again. Once the IR sensor detects another change in zones, the spring gun fires again until we've hit all zones. A hinge mechanism where this rod is folded in half is attached to a pulley system and a motor so that the pulley rotates counterclockwise and pulls the hinge into full height to raise the golf ball. Depicted is an embarrassingly poor quality picture of our final design. This design features two double hinges that are fired using pneumatic actuators. One of the hinges was removed during competition for technical reasons. Both hinges, however, included a valve and tubing system that once the double hinges were launched using the pneumatic actuators and pushed the dog toy out of the way, this tubing winded its way behind the ping pong balls and using short bursts of air pushed the ping pong balls back into our zone. In order to reach the Death Star and deploy ping pong balls into there, a plastic tube connected to a gear system and a motor was constructed. The motor turns clockwise to reel the tube out to the Death Star and then turns counterclockwise to launch the ping pong balls. It turns counterclockwise whenever a wall switch is triggered by the quadrant of the Death Star changing. When this happens, it releases one ping pong ball into the Death Star and then moves back to its original position. After all the ping pong balls have been launched or 35 seconds has elapsed, the motor turns counterclockwise again to reel the entire system and egress from the Death Star zone. In order to raise the golf ball, a tape measure system was built with a motor and a gear attached. The gear is lined with a rubber band to increase traction with the tape measure. The tape measure is then reeled upward when the motor turns counterclockwise, and it can go up about 10 feet in the air. This has been Movie Maker with Joey. Please tune in next time when Joey finally pirates Sony Vegas and can make real videos.